20% of bioethanol to the fuel, to the petrol. It will just absorb nearly 2 million tons of corn. For Ukraine, it's nearly nothing. But okay, I will start with my presentation. And I just will ask Agenai to switch for the next slide. Yeah. On this nice slide, you can see the evolution of production and export grain. On a red line, it's production of grain, and on a of export. Of course, before the war, you can see our record, it's 106 million ton. We grow it's all grain and oilseeds together. And our expectation of export potentially was more than 70 million tons. But unfortunately, on February 2022, Ukraine was under full invasion of Russia, and it just stopped our export, and we decreased our pace and speed of export. We had no other chances that we created no logistic ways through the Danube River, through the railway, thanks to all European countries who participate to this, thanks to all companies from Europe and from around the world who help Ukraine to find the way how to export the grain. But in any case, we continue to export. And you see, in this season, we expect production about 84, even 85 million tons grain and oilseeds. And export, in this case, can be for the next campaign, which starts on the 1st of July, about 51 million ton grain and oilseeds. It's number without oil and without processing products as malt or sunflower seeds, milk. It's only grain and oil seeds. Please, next slide. And you can see that on the wheat will grow nearly the same volume as we had on the previous season. We didn't change the planting area, and I do not expect that it will grow. For the moment, we harvested about 98% of wheat, and our numbers for the moment, what we harvested, official numbers. And I think in 1 month from Statistics Bureau, we'll have more precise numbers. That's why on Ukrainian Grain Association expectations, we will achieve this number as 22.5 million ton. And in this case, we can export about 16,500,000 ton during the whole period of the year, of the grain marketing year. On the previous season, we could export 16.2, but we didn't achieve this number because we didn't find the market. Price was so high, and traders just stopped to decrease. I just will remind you that the Ukrainian Grain Association and Ministry of Agriculture in Ukraine, we signed memorandum in the past 14 years, since 14 years, every year we sign memorandum where we take obligation that we will not export more than we put on this memorandum, but on the same time, our government, they say they will not make any administrative blockage for this volume which we put on the memorandum. Of course, it's not the excellent way of playing or the free market, but it gives a predictability to both for the commercial and government side, for the national security, food national security, and for the traders, how we can protect our interest around the world. But even on this season, when we had the number 16.2 million ton in our memorandum, we didn't achieve this number because price was so high, and for us was no reason commercially export grain from Ukraine. Traders could find cheaper grain from other sources. On the barley, we expect slowly decreasing of production. For the moment, what we can see from the statistic official, that already we have a bit more than 5 million ton already harvested in Ukraine. Maybe we will correct this number in 2-3 weeks. We will see the precise number from a statistic when farmers will give these documents, and usually after, I will explain to you how it works. Usually operational figures given by Ministry of Agriculture, they're 90-95% correct. But in 1 month, all farmers have to send documents to the Statistic Bureau. That's why we have a bit delay. We have this lag in 1 month with a precise number. But in any case, even if we'll produce for 300,000-400,000 tons more barley, it will not change the picture significantly. Our expectation of export 2.3 million ton, and the season start very active. We had a few contracts with China, and we sent already more than 500,000 ton to China. In the corn, you see it's big increase. We expect that the increase in of production will be quite high. And honestly, I do not remember such favorable weather for the corn during the whole period of time. We had a rainy period during the springtime. We didn't have any drought during the summer, and now we have about 24-25 degrees, which is quite good for the corn. That's why we expect that we will produce about 33 million ton instead of 26 on the previous season. And of course, it will give additional boost for the export, and we expect that we will export for about 4 million tons more than we did on the previous season. And for the rapeseed, you see it's a bit decreasing because of the winter time. On the soybeans, decreasing because of decreasing surface planting area. And but in any case, totally we'll produce for 5 million tons more, even for 6 million tons more, and our export should be higher than on the previous season. Please, next slide. I think it's really interesting to understand how we produce grain, which territory is more suitable for the production of each of the products. And you see that our wheat production concentrated mostly on the south central. And on the western part of Ukraine, it's lower production of wheat. It's traditionally, plus its climate, and of course quality of wheat on the central and the south higher than quality on the west and the north. It's mostly because on the south and central it's more sunny weather, and it creates additional surplus in gluten, and our millers, they are happy to take grain from the central and southern part in Ukraine. In this year, it was just surprising. As Milan said, I'm working in this business more than 25 years, but I never seen that some farmers just bring wheat to the port terminal with gluten so high and protein on a million wheat about 17-18%. And some farmers, they just even say that maybe something is wrong with our equipment, because when we're checking quality on the field, it's too high. But in reality, yes, we had really high quality on the central and on the south. But on the western part of Ukraine, because of the a bit rainy weather during the harvesting period, we have some problem. It's not such heavy fungi, but it can be alternaria. And now farmers are checking what they can do with this wheat. Can they blend it or will they just export it as is? For the moment, we are waiting for the final checking of quality, and I think in 1-2 weeks we'll have more precise information. Please, next slide. Logistically, Ukraine can export more than 7 million ton grain and oilseeds per month. And you see, on the first part of the column, we achieve 7 million ton in 1 month. And I can tell to you, one of our members, it's kernel company, they can export only through their own terminal in one of the ports of Ukraine. They can export 1 million tons of grain per month. It's just one company in one of the port, in one of the terminal. And of course, our infrastructure now not overloaded, and we export less. But without port, you see what kind of decrease in it was. Without ports, it's green column. You can see it's we just stop our export. We try to find additional compromise way on the Danube River, and maximum what we achieved about 3 million ton per month through the Danube port. But for Ukraine, it's not enough. When we need to export about 55-60 million ton, of course 3 million not enough. Through the railway, it's more difficult to export because it's queue, and you have to exchange the axles, wheels, because we have different size of the railway. Ukrainian railway a little bit wilder than European, and of course by trucks, but it's very, very expensive. If we will take in numbers, for example, to take one truck from the central part of Ukraine to some Germany, for example, with rapeseeds, it will cost about 120 euro per ton. If we will send this grain to port, it will cost about $15, after $10 just fobbing cost, and about $25-26 to Germany. It's in 2 times cheaper than to go directly by trucks. That's why, of course, Ukrainian farmers and traders, they prefer to load grain by vessels. And in the past year, our army gave to us these options, and we continue to export mostly through the Black Sea. More than 85% we export through the Black Sea ports. And I will remind you that we are working without Nikolaev. We are working through the Pivdenny, Odessa, and Chernomorsk. If we could just add Nikolaev, in this case, we could add logistically additional 2 million tons easily per month. That's why Ukraine logistically can export nearly in 2 times more. Okay, please, next slide. And you see this again, logistic and evolution of export, and you can see how our export just dropped during the full invasion. And we try to find all possibility which we could. For the moment, it's just beginning of season, and you see that on the left side, we export a bit more than 3 million ton per month. But we easily can achieve, we can just double this number. Now it's crop a bit delay for 2-3 weeks, and of course it's give impact, and we didn't export, for example, 5 million tons, which achievable to us. Please, next slide. It's also logistic situation for us. For the moment, for all Ukrainians, it's the most difficult and sensitive points. And even if we'll use the new ports, you see, we exported just 3 million. 668,000 tons, 3,668,000 tons versus 44 million through the Black Sea corridor, through the Odessa port. And of course, it's only 5,600,000 through the railway and other options as trucks. Please, next slide. And here you can see the current situation, beginning of the season. It didn't change much in percentage. It's even ports are decreased their part from 83 to 87%. And for Ukraine, economically more reasonable to go through the Black Sea ports, especially now when the insurance company gives these options. I remember when after start of full invasion, first Turkish fleet came to Ukraine, not so big, 3,000-4,000 ton capacity, and freight cost from Ukraine to Turkey $100 per ton. For the moment, we can go to Italy, for example, at $24-25 per ton, with handy-size vessels, 25-30,000 ton, and of course it's more interesting logistically, and it's not so costly. Please, next slide. If we'll discuss about grain export, where we export, you can see that the biggest importer in the past season, it was Turkey, after Spain, Italy, Netherlands. But if we'll just count country by country, if we'll take European Union, of course we export the main part to the European Union. And for the question of Milan, what will we do with these new regulations and how it will impact Ukrainian market? I mean that Ukraine will export to Europe less wheat. I think Ukrainian wheat will find market around the world. In any case, we'll sell our wheat to North Africa, or we'll send to Asia, to Indonesia, for example. Ukraine so integrated in economical environment in the world with the grain, because there's so many international companies present in Ukraine, as ADM, Dreyfus, and Ukrainian companies who are quite big, as Kernel, Nipolon, all of them are members of Ukrainian Grain Association, and they can find the way how to trade Ukrainian wheat. And it doesn't matter, will Ukrainian grain go to Europe or will it go to Egypt? In any case, Ukrainian grain will compete with the French grain, Ukrainian wheat will compete with German grain, with Russian grain, with all other regions. And I'm sure that the Ukrainian grain will find the market. If we'll see for the price for the moment, of course, farmers could be more happy if price could be higher, but it's not so low, and the logistic way quite good. That's why I think nothing will happen, and Ukraine will continue to export, and all numbers will be achievable to us. Please, next slide. And you see that the beginning of the season, and our main country to whom we send the grain, Egypt, Indonesia, Turkey, Netherlands, and China. China, as I said, it's mainly for the moment with barley. We got phytosanitary agreement and signing protocol for corn, for barley, for soybean meals, and we continue to work with 4 other products to open Chinese market. But for the moment, season start, and China took a lot of barley from Ukraine. Egypt, in any case, will continue to import the grain. It's one of the biggest importers. Indonesia as well. That's why I cannot say it will be easier, but I'm not nervous about possibility of Ukrainian grain export. Please, next slide. And it's nearly the same slide, but concentration of wheat on wheat. You see that Spain main importer after Egypt, Algeria, and I will explain to you why Ukrainian traders they are not so happy to participate to Egyptian market. Because these state companies they change and now it's military company, and even the head office located on the territory of military base, and when you have it first, it's second when you have delay in 270 days with the payment for Ukrainian exporter, it's so difficult because Ukrainian banks have less liquidity, and to take credit lines more difficult during the war, and just send grain and to wait for the payment 270 days for the moment it's very difficult, and not so many Ukrainian company can participate to this market. But in any case, we will. And as I said, many international companies are working in Ukraine, and I think Ukraine will continue to export wheat around the world as it was before. And please, last slide. And you see this season just start. We export only 2.5 million tons of wheat in this season, and it's Indonesian market, it's Egyptian market, Algeria, and Vietnam. I think nearly on the same way we will continue to export grain, maybe with some changes, but strategically we will export wheat to Asia mostly and Northern Africa. Not so many wheat will go to European market on this season, unfortunately, but okay, nothing will happen. Okay, in this case, my slides are finished. Thank you very much for this event, and I will be happy to participate to Q&A panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your great presentation and explanation of Ukrainian S&D. I have one question related with your barley production and barley export. I noticed that in the last 4 years, 4 seasons, you decreased the production from approximately 10 million tons to 4.9, and based on that, exportable surplus from 5.75 to 2.3. That decreasing of numbers are associated with area where you usually produce barley, and because that you have less production and less exportable surplus. If you take in account war and conflict between Ukraine and Russia, or it's driven by economics and you switched from barley to some another grains. What was driver for so big or doubleized decrease of barley production?
Mostly it's economical reason, because the production of corn, sunflower seeds or soybeans, it's more profitable than produce barley. And domestic consumption not so high. And if we will take, for example, malting barley, it's exactly just 10% from the total production. Most of the barley, it's feed barley. And you can just exchange barley to corn or to feed wheat on feeding animals. Mostly it's economical reason.
Clear. And another one topic which can be interesting for us is associated with your soybean production. We noticed, and before we noticed this your slide about S&D, we read about export quotas related with soybean from Ukraine to third countries. And after that, in your estimations, I see that you estimated a lower export versus last season. That lower export of soybean is associated with that quotas, or you see some different reasons for that? How you see it?
I think in this season we cannot see the impact because of the quota, because production decreased because of the weather, mostly because of the weather. But on a long period of time, in my expectation, will decrease production of soybeans because of this law. We fully disagree with the government on these 10% duties. And I will remind you, it's already start to work. And only producers of grain, only producer of soybeans and rapeseeds, they will not pay these 10% duties. It's only for traders. But it will demotivate traders to participate to the financial program on which they give money, fertilizer, seeds to the farmers. And in this case, I think farmers just will decrease production of corn, of soybeans and rapeseeds. But we will see. We had such situation before, and during the 3 years, the production of rapeseeds and soybean has been decreased. It was 2017, I think, in 3 years, 2020. And we sent a letter from Grain Association to our government before, and now that we disagree, but okay. They play management game, and they expect that the producers of oil will give additional added value for this product, and in this case, government will earn more taxes and will protect the Ukrainian market. We will see what will happen. In our expectation, it will not happen, but in their expectation, it will.
Thank you very much for that explanation. Why I was asking you that question, because in Danube region, as you know, we faced with drought, which affected the production of spring cultures. Now we are in harvest period for oilseeds, sunflower and soybean, and that information which are coming from Ukraine related with your production, related with administration of export, can be very useful for regional crushers here to see how to make strategy and cover their needs, taking account that production numbers here decreased based on results of that drought which appeared in the whole region. On another side, your presentation of exportable surplus related with corn is more than clear, that you will have more than 5 or 6 million tons more versus last season. And also it can be very useful insight for, again, Danube traders and Danube market players who are facing with the same scenario on corn production, where we 4th year in row have very small production, potable surplus, and now it's time for them to make decisions what to do with corn which our farmers are harvesting, because domestic prices in the whole region, including Serbia, Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, are significantly